You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is the Waystation, your source for Star Wars news and rumors. Today is February 4th, 2024, and with me, as always, is Ed. Ed, welcome to the show. Welcome back, man. It's been a while. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think we were both sick at one point.
Yeah.
Like I got sick, then we were like, okay, we'll do this later on like a Wednesday. And you're like, no, I'm sick. I'm like, oh, okay. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we've both recovered. We're back. I want to say congratulations to you. I know you're a huge 49ers fan. And
well, no congratulations yet. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, you won the NFC
I haven't won anything yet.
title.
I haven't won anything. That doesn't matter. Super Bowl's matter.
Spoken like a true professional. Look at that. Right? But yeah, and then we won't have a show next week because the Super Bowl. It's a national holiday for Ed since the 49ers are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I live in Canada and it's still a national holiday. All right. So
right. It's a national holiday everywhere. Hey, thanks to everybody. First off, special thanks to all of our Patreon members. Special thanks to everybody that's joined us with the live stream. There's quite a few already on here, especially though are now part of the tribe members. Rob, Mike Borda, Lauren, Dante, Riss Bayless, Justin, Jackson, Sharkman, Dan, Daz, Isabella, Uncle Leon, Josh C, Jacob, Rita Reborn, who actually chimed in on the comments and wasn't able to join us live. One day we'll get you on live, buddy. Can't wait for that day. And also our Delusions of Grandeur members, which are Rod, CJ, Alex, Steve, and Daz. If you're interested in going, signing up for Patreon, head up to cantinacast.com/Patreon. As little as $2, and you get an entire back catalog of years of content for just about anything that you want. That's been exclusive only to the Patreon members. And just quick programming notes. So after this, Jonesy and I are going to finally break down the Bad Batch trailer. Again, another one of these things. He and I were both sick, and so we didn't get a chance. So we're a little late on that one, but we're going to certainly wax our thoughts, opinions ahead of our final hype show, which will be coming up in just a little bit. We're not going to talk about that tonight. And then if you've not had a chance to get caught up on all the High Republic news, Lauren and I just finished 3 episodes. I think every one of those was about 2 hours long. One was even longer. And that is a full breakdown of Eye of Darkness by George Mann, the first adult novel in the High Republic Phase 3 series. And then she just released her Escape from Valo breakdown. So that is over on YouTube, cantinacast.com/YouTube or youtube.com/cantinacast. Look at the Jedi Novel Archive page that we got there. She's got a ton of stuff that you can watch about novels and books, comic books, and get kind of caught up on a lot of different things. So lots of good stuff there. And then also I want to just highlight we got a 5-star review, Ed, believe it or not.
Yes.
Yeah, this 5-star review came in from Lothos.
Oh, it wasn't me either. Cool.
I know. No, not this time. It's all your bot accounts that you've been doing, which I do appreciate, by the way. So this is from Lothos. It says, best Star Wars podcast out there. This is easily the best Star Wars podcast I've listened to. They cover everything in depth and know all the nooks and crannies of Star Wars lore, including nothing. Oh, I'm sorry, excluding nothing. No, that didn't sound right. Excluding nothing. Movies, shows, books, comics, collectibles, absolutely everything. And if you're not a diehard fan, they explain backstories and history of some of the characters that pop up in shows so that you may not be familiar with. They put it all into context. I hope they continue to do this as long as new content is being released. As of right now, yes. Yes, we will continue to do this as long as new content is released. So thank you for that 5-star review. If you head out to iTunes, please leave us a review. 4 or 5 stars, great. I don't want to see the 3s and 2s. Just keep it to yourself. All right, I think with that, let's get into news, and we're going to start on a sour note. So as most of us already know, let me pull up a screen here. We're going to kind of step through. We lost a Star Wars great, in my opinion, although he's not been with the fandom as long as some of the other folks out here. But you all know Carl Weathers passed away on February 1st, died at age 76. At least as of this, I didn't get a chance to check today to see if they had released the cause of death. But I mean, he was so he always was full of vigor, at least at Star Wars Celebration last year. Mm-hmm. He's a super bright light in everything he does. But I think one of the things that I tweeted about this, the one thing that I really appreciated about Carl Weathers is that he came into this fandom and was completely just took everything in, loved everybody, was a champion, was a spokesperson for Star Wars. He stood for everything that we want in Star Wars. And the way the fandom reciprocated that, the way we went to him and we gave him that standing ovation that he did at Star Wars Celebration, and some of the, he had a kind of a one-on-one personal conversation there a little bit later, saying that the response that he was getting at Celebration, he felt, was a culmination of everything that he had ever done, all of his work, Apollo Creed, Predator, Action Jackson, you name it, it goes on and on and on. He felt all that body of work that he had done throughout his entire life was the reason why he was getting that kind of response here, and that he was taking it as such, which, I mean, it was a very heartfelt moment. And, my condolences to him, his family, and everyone else. But your thoughts on Carl Weathers. I'm sure you grew up with him just like we did. And, what kind of movies do you remember him standing out for?
Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy how much the Star Wars universe, how much the Star Wars fandom has just embraced Carl Weathers over the past couple of years, because he's had such a long career, being known in other franchises, being known, especially the Rocky movies. Like he's not even in the Rocky movies anymore, and like his name is the legacy, right? The Creed with Michael B. Jordan movies, like that's kind of his legacy, Apollo Creed. And then you mentioned Predator, you mentioned Dylan, and like the greatest handshake of all time. I remember he used to be in this TV show called Street Justice. It was like in the early 90s, and it was filmed in Vancouver, which is my hometown. And that was like the first time I realized, oh, things can get filmed like not in Hollywood. Things can get like that's my city. Yeah. That was like down the street. Oh man. And I didn't even know this until Friday, because like when I had my radio show here in Winnipeg, Power 97, I was like, learning more, what you do when somebody dies. Like, okay, I'm just gonna read more about him. Like he played for the BC Lions, which is like the CFL. He was a Raider for a couple of years in the NFL. Like I was like, oh, he had a football career. I just assumed he was just an actor, but like long career. Yeah, you mentioned Action Jackson, you mentioned the Predator stuff. The later in life, right? Because like I think the Star Wars community embraced him, but I think things like being in Happy Gilmore, and it's kind of like a surprise. Right. Oh my, like I wasn't expecting Apollo Creed to be in Happy Gilmore, and Arrested Development when he was kind of playing himself as his acting coach. Like I just the things when you didn't expect to see Carl Weathers pop up. I don't even remember noticing him in the Mandalorian trailer. And I think like watching the first episode or the second episode, I forget which one's his first episode. I'm like, oh crap, it's Apollo Creed's in this. Amazing.
Yeah. No, that was, and you're right. Like it was such we were at Celebration that year when they revealed the first trailer for the Mandalorian series. And, we got a chance to see him on stage there. And, because of his legacy, because of all the work that he had done, but then there was just something about his character that I think we all kind of naturally felt, inclined to, want to follow and like. And he did such a good job of kind of that with that character being, easygoing at first, really likable. And then he kind of turned into the bad guy at the very end, maybe allegedly. Then he comes back and now he's kind of risen to glory and really on the side of Grogu and in love with Grogu. But just that character arc which was really awesome. A testament to Carl Weathers' acting abilities, of course, and the writing of sorts. But, he did such a good job with that character that you're right. It's easier for us to resonate with the character, to love all the things that he does in the series. And let's not forget, he directed 2 episodes, and I forget the titles, but there was one in season 2, maybe I think one in season 3, episodes 12 and 20, I think are the ones he did. But he was also a director, and I think we overlooked that quite a bit. What about so his legacy outside of Star Wars? Because we'll always know him as Grief Karga, and at some point, maybe not right now, we'll probably talk about what does that look like going forward. I would assume they had something planned for him in the Mandalorian movie that's coming out. Maybe if they do another series, I think he was going to be a center point to that, or at least integral to that storyline. But more on that another time. I guess outside of Star Wars, I know you mentioned that. Is there anything else that stood out for you for Carl Weathers? Is it Apollo Creed? Is it Dylan from Predator? Like, what's his legacy prior to this?
Just that he was in so many things, right? Like I mentioned, like the Rocky, in Predator, in that TV show that I grew up, that it just was in my hometown. Action Jackson is like a great one where he actually got to be the star instead of the buddy or the side character. And and how he just kept on popping up in places you wouldn't expect him to be. Like Arrested Development's one of my favorite sitcoms ever, and just like he's in more episodes than you'd think he would be in.
Yeah. For me, and you're right. Like, it's hard to say Apollo Creed is not, his legacy, especially you made a good point about the movie still carrying his name, at least the character's name. But Action Jackson is up there for me because I think I was 15 or 16 years old when that came out. And I was really pumped. Like it's to me, it's one of those underrated action movies. It's super cheesy. Don't get me wrong, but it has a lot of like memorable one-liners, which was kind of the thing back then in the 80s, they had, especially with Schwarzenegger. And you can't really see now because we're a little small, but I've got the quote down there is, "How do you like your ribs?" If you want to see a kind of a funny scene, go out to YouTube and just type in Action Jackson, "How do you like your ribs?" And then you watch the whole clip. It's like a 10-minute clip or whatever. But yeah, again, over the top silliness, but I love that movie. I liked him as Combat Carl in the Toy Story series. He had a small role there where he just pretty much played himself the entire time. He was an action figure named Combat Carl and spoke like that throughout the entire, I think at least the 2 movies that he was in, 3 and 4, or I forget now, but he did a little cool. He had some really good one-liners in that one as well. Dylan is another one with Predator.
I don't think you mentioned Happy Gilmore enough, because I know people are probably like, don't forget Chubbs and Happy Gilmore. You got to mention Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
being Happy's mentor trainer.
Yep. And then there's so many good parts of that movie. There's the other one that, and I don't have the picture up, but he's in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I put that in there because I've seen that movie a billion times. But like you said, in going through the research and going through, and I'm looking at his stuff, and I'm like, yeah. I got to Close Encounters, and I'm thinking, wait, who the hell was he in Close Encounters?
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Yeah, you go back in there, and it's like one shot where they've got some army guy coming off, and this is really early on in his career. And he's not. I don't remember that he even has any like speaking lines. He just kind of comes on screen, and it's such a presence, right? That they decide to use him. But yeah, I mean, certainly a great legacy, a great human being, and somebody who's going to be dearly missed. And outside of everything, just Star Wars related, just he's going to be missed as a person. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to let's talk about Dave Filoni real quick. So this, again, we're a little bit late since we've missed a couple things, but if you had not heard, Dave Filoni just received the George Pal Memorial Award at the Saturn Awards. And this is presented on rare occasions to a filmmaker that embodies a sense of wonder, imagination, and mastery of fantastic in cinematic storytelling. I love that he got this award. First off, congratulations to Dave Filoni and his family. I love that he got this award. I think what really kind of vindicated for me is that whenever we talk about Dave Filoni, yes, we're very focused on Star Wars. Of course we are. However, we've said on this show many times that when you go back and look at the things he's done, his work on Avatar, especially, some of those like big stories, those big moments that you have in those stories are all because of Dave Filoni. So there was no question, I think, when George Lucas decided, okay, who am I going to bring on as my apprentice? Who can carry this proverbial mantle maybe at some point? This is the guy to do it. And I want to put him on a pedestal, but at the same time, he's got a long career ahead of him. I don't think we've seen his best work yet. But I mean, they are definitely, I think, on track with his vision and what he does with storytelling. It's simplistic at times, but it resonates with us, right? It goes back to those core fundamental storytelling techniques that we all love as human beings. So, yeah, congratulations to Dave on that. I think it's a well-deserved award. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, what he's kind of built with, I guess we kind of call it the Filoni-verse, and like all the characters that he's kind of brought to Star Wars, or kind of maybe brought back to life in Star Wars, that the animation style we've seen over the years that's kind of taken over. Like that's kind of like the default, the way the Clone Wars was. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to do this again with Rebels and Bad Batch, and we're just going to continue this kind of look. And that's just kind of been his whole thing in his writing. Like you said, like it's simple at times, and it's kind of like he'll take you on a journey, right? Like the whole building of Ahsoka, like how they were like, he purposely made her this annoying character that you're like, oh, why does this character have to exist? Then like, what is it? I forget if it's the first or second season. He turns a switch, and all of a sudden you're like, she's awesome. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Forget what I said before. She's the best.
Yeah, you're right. So many great characters. We're going to talk about Asajj Ventress in a little bit as well, as another character that went on this great journey from beginning to end. And a lot of it is George Lucas. I'm not taking anything away from George Lucas, of course, but a lot of it is Dave Filoni. It's the implementation of the ideas. It's the implementation of those stories that you can credit him to. But yeah, it's again, for the vision of fantastic. What is it? The mastery of fantastic and cinematic storytelling. Yeah, I think this is the right guy. So good on him. I doubt this is the last time we'll hear Dave Filoni's name mentioned with an award. So stay tuned for more from that young guy. He's got a good career.
Great hat in that picture, by the way.
Great hat. Yeah. This is an older picture. This is a very flattering picture. He's pretty studly in this one.
Well, you win award, they find the best picture.
Yeah, right. Let's not use that one. Oh, that one's the one right there. 20 years ago. All right. So hot off the presses. So again, we're recording this on February 4th. I snuck this in here just in the last minute, but Jedi Survivor has won the Grammy. Yes, the Grammy Award for Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games and Other Interactive Media. This was music by Stephen Barton and Gordy Hab. And I've pulled up the article from our good friends over at Fantha Tracks. This is from Mark Newbold himself. Mark, keep up the good work, man. But this is hot off the presses. They just won. And I was looking at some of these other the other contestants, or I don't what are nominees? Sorry,
nominees.
Yeah. It's always a competition when you get down to it. But Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, and then Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. Now, I've not played any of those. Oh, I know I played Modern Warfare 2. I have played that. My kids sucked me into that game. I don't remember the music, though. I was just there for the violence. And then God of War Ragnarok, I'm sure that probably had a cool score. But I don't know. I guess your thoughts on this. Did you play any of these other games? Did you get a chance to play Survivor? What did you think of the soundtrack?
Yeah, I feel like maybe with the Grammys crowd, they're just kind of used to maybe like a Star Wars sound, and they were just like, oh, that kind of stands out. And then we're used to giving like what's his name, Williams, all the Grammys and Academy Awards. So like this kind of sounds close enough. Sure, Star Wars, you get in other words.
Yeah. It does sound different, though. I will say this. You can actually you can listen to most of the soundtrack, I think, on YouTube. People have, I don't know if it's illegal or not, but most of the soundtracks on YouTube, there is it's like Kevin Kiner, right? Like John Williams certainly has a very distinct sound, and no one tries to actually imitate that. But you hear other people like Kevin Kiner, like these guys that are trying to build off of it, right? Make it its own thing, but yet still feel very connected to the John Williams soundtrack. And that's not an easy thing to do. Like I said, Kevin Kline's very famous for that. These guys did a really good job with this game. I don't remember if they did the first game or not. That had a really good soundtrack, although it wasn't nominated for a Grammy that I recall. And but then you see other people like Ludwig Göransson, the guy that does the Mandalorian stuff. He doesn't try to do that. And I'm not saying he was like intimidated, but he did his own thing, right? But I've seen a lot of people, especially when you get into video games, where they're like, oh, we'll just kind of we'll make it sound like John Williams, and it'll pass. It just doesn't have the energy. It doesn't have the life force. And I think this game did. I think the stuff that Kevin Kiner did, certainly. And then the only other game that for me has come close, it didn't just use the original soundtrack, is Star Wars: The Old Republic. They have their own kind of soundtrack, and they've got a number of people that have gone through and done music for that game over the course of 15 years now or so, 14 years. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. So hats off to these guys for it.
I feel like a lot of sci-fi is going towards the more electronic, cyberpunk kind of, synthesizer sounds, right? Anytime you see anything from the future now, it's always just kind of like that kind of sound, that right. Cyberpunk that you hear it in Rick and Morty, you heard it in Thor Ragnarok. And it's like Star Wars has its own sound. So I don't know if that helped them in the nomination process. It's like, oh, this is familiar. I like familiar.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure it did. So anyways, not much else to say here. Again, congratulations to everyone. And then there's a bunch of other people that were behind this. It just wasn't those two, but they get all the credit because I think their name is on the Grammy, at least when it's announced. Okay, let's talk about movie. We got a little bit of movie news here recently. Let's talk about Daisy Ridley. So New Jedi Order. Let me blow this up again because I know these screens are kind of hard to see if I'm screen sharing. The title of this is from Variety magazine. It says Daisy Ridley on Sometimes I Think About Dying and her worthwhile return to Star Wars. The idea is cool as S. I didn't see the quotes when I first read this, and I thought it just read Daisy Ridley on Sometimes I Think About Dying. I thought, oh my gosh, she's suicidal. She's crying for help, and we're not there to help her. What an idiot I am. But This is this article of Daisy Ridley was actually just she's doing this movie, of course, and they were getting her thoughts on the new movie that's coming out for the new Jedi Republic. I think that's at least what we're calling it. I'm going to scroll down here because I want to read you this quote, and then I want you to get your thoughts. And boy, I didn't think it was this far down. So here's the question. You're reprising your role as Rey in the new Star Wars movie directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. How will the franchise's first female film director impact the series? And her answer was, the short answer is, I don't know. I'm excited to do the job, but not because Sharmeen is a woman. Her documentaries are amazing. Her idea for the story is cool as, I can't say that. No spoilers, but she gave me a rundown of the entire story. If it weren't amazing, I would have been like, okay, call me in 5 years, but it's worthwhile. What do you think there when you hear that it's, because it almost sounds like it's not going to fall in line with maybe what I think it may subvert expectations in some way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she said that, now, I felt that too. I thought after the way Rise of Skywalker was, and like the how the sequel trilogy was accepted by fans, and a lot of people were, had good critical things to say and really poor critical things to say, that maybe if she ever does return to this thing, it's going to be a wow. And the fact that she's coming back now, either they drove a large truck of money to her house, or she just really likes the script. And if she really likes the script, hopefully, this is going to turn out really well.
Yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind that she didn't like the character. I mean, you see, she knows the impact this has had on kids. And I've said it many times in the show, but my daughter is like crazy obsessed with Rey. She doesn't like anybody else, and she probably couldn't name 2 more characters beyond Rey, but that is her character. That's her Star Wars. And I know both Disney, Lucasfilm, and certainly Daisy Ridley know the impact this character has had on them. So I'm with you. Like, sometimes actors and actresses come back to roles after things aren't so great. Maybe it's not even just the money. It's just the opportunity to kind of have a redemption as well, right? If there's a good story to be told and that person took a lot of flack for the story, being able to come back and kind of finish that off or whatever. But the fact that she's doing this so quickly, I think you're right. I think it says that we probably do have a really good script on here, something that's very compelling, very intriguing, maybe subverts expectations. We're talking about the new Jedi Order, but maybe it's not going to be all rosy and gold like we maybe expect it to be. So yeah, I'm excited, and I hope they threw a lot of money at her because she's well deserving of that too.
Yeah, and maybe we blow up the idea of Jedi, right? Maybe that was maybe the whole point of the last few movies, that like, okay, we've had this strict idea of what a Jedi is and isn't. Okay, there's the sacred texts are gone. Like we can kind of start anew, have a relationship with the Force, use lightsabers, but have it in a different way.
Yeah. No, I like the idea. That would be cool with me. Get away. This is a big turning point, right? Watershed moment here where things are going to go differently from now. Well, so yeah. And of course, they did ask her some other. If you get a chance to read the article, there's some other stuff in there they were asking about. Is it going to be feeling weird not to be with Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, etc. So good stuff there. Glad that she's out.
Oh my God, I had to spoil Rise of Skywalker the other day on the radio with my co-host.
Really?
We talked about this, and she's never seen it. I think she's seen a Star Wars before. I don't even know which one. And she asked about Adam Driver. It's like, because Adam Driver, I saw a headline that Adam Driver's not going to return in these movies. And I was like, yeah, he probably won't. And I was just trying to talk around like, it's like, yeah, no, the character's dead, man. Like he might come back as a Force ghost, but like, he might be in a cameo or something, but he wouldn't talk about that. And she's like, oh, did you just spoil Star Wars? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, statute of limitations at this point, right? I mean,
yeah, I was like, yeah, it's a 5-year-old movie, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so we got that going. Let's talk about, let's move to television. And this is what Jonesy and I are going to talk about a little bit about, well, quite a bit about. The final season was announced, and this was kind of took us by surprise. I mean, we knew it was coming this year. I don't think that we knew this was going to be starting up on February 21st, which I believe, February 21st. This is season 3, the final season. I think we'd always speculated and talked about whether or not Bad Batch would be 3 seasons, 5 seasons. We said it needed to be as long as they felt like they need to tell the story. And so whether it was 3, 5, 7, we didn't care. But I like the fact that they are kind of wrapping things up. The trailer was a release as well, which again, we're going to break down in just a little bit here. But I think the big Shocking. Well, I guess the big talking points is number one, February 21st, they're releasing 3 episodes, which is just like crazy when you think, like, for us, like, oh my God, we got to watch 3 episodes and break it down the very next day. So, we'll do our best, but that's number one. But I think the big takeaway and what everybody's been talking about here for some time, and again, we're late on this one, but this is the return of Asajj Ventress, a character that died in the novels and didn't get to have any kind of screen time after that, right? She was just gone. And here we go. Now we're bringing her back, and it's got a lot of people wondering. And I want to, I guess, your thoughts on the character of Asajj Ventress. And I don't know that we've even talked about the Bad Batch. Honestly, you and I think it was, you came on after season 2 had already ended. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I know this is something you caught. Were you a big fan of this?
I mean, with her, right? Like the story with her and Quentin Voss, that was supposed to be in the season 6, right? Of Clone Wars that never happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's why they made the novel, right?
That's right. And you actually can go out to if you go out to YouTube and type in, you can actually, or look for it on YouTube. You can actually find the rough 3D stuff that they did. There's not the entire episodes, but there are things in there that bled their way into the novel.
Yeah, and a couple things that I think maybe they're teasing. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about it when you guys talk about the trailer, but maybe things that they're teasing with, Cad Bane shows up in the trailer, and you're like, oh, okay, well, where's Boba Fett? Is he gonna? Are they finally going to do that scene with those two? But yeah, with Ventress, it's an interesting story, like because she dies, right? She dies in that novel.
In Dark Disciple, yeah, she does.
And there's
Spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers. So it's going to be like, okay, how is she? How are they going to bring her back from the dead? Or did she actually die? Is this, a Night Sisters kind of thing? I don't know. Like what are they going to do? What kind of storytelling device are they going to? And are they just going to kill her off again? Because they're like, well, we didn't give you the proper ending on screen, so we'll kind of take that back, but do it again.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's got to be Night Sisters, honestly, only because they did take her body back to Dathomir. So really high level, Quinlan Voss, her, and Kenobi were all fighting Palpatine, or it's not Palpatine, or what's his name, Count Dooku.
Somehow it was Palpatine.
Yeah, they were fighting Dooku, and Dooku uses Force Lightning. She jumps in front of. He's trying to use Force Lightning on Quinlan Voss. Ventress jumps in front, takes the brunt of that, and then that's what ends up killing her. And he gets away, of course. And the whole idea, the premise around this book was they were trying to get rid of Dooku because they felt like if they cut off the head of the snake, which was Dooku, then the Clone Wars would stop. That was that theme played throughout all of the Clone Wars, honestly, that series. And at the very end, after she was dead, Kenobi and Voss take her body to Dathomir and kind of give her a proper sister burial. And if there's one place that you don't take a body to and bury it if you don't ever want that body to come back, it's Dathomir. Now, it has a very ceremonious kind of an ending that feels like the ending, right? They can hear the voices of the sisters saying sister as her body's kind of, the green mists are coming up and she's taken down into like the planet or whatever it is. I forget now. So it did kind of have that finality of like, okay, this is it. But we all know if you're on Dathomir, I mean, that is the one place where you can come back. So we'll see how much they're going to expand upon that. Like the only thing is, again, Jonesy and I are going to talk about this, but like, I just question, there are a lot of episodes in here. Don't get me wrong. So you probably have enough runway to tell that story, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot, but I just hope we get something. I hope we get more than just, oh, she's back. And then they're going to, table that story for another book or another series or a comic or whatever else. Right. I kind of want it baked into the series, because if she's there and they've already made this big fuss about it, give us, pull the Band-Aid off, tell us exactly how all this kind of happened.
So you don't want like one character just off the side going like somehow Asajj's return and just not explain anything.
No, I think that went really well in The Rise of Skywalker. So I don't know that would be the right approach. So, but yeah, good stuff there, man. This is exciting. February 21st, and that goes all the way through May 1st. We even got some cool new artwork here that we're showing now, which is
I know you and Jonesy are going to be talking about the trailer in a bit, but there's like this one right at the beginning when they're talking about like we're running out of road. I totally thought they're going to do like a Back to the Future, like where we're going, we don't need no roads, and like the tank thing was going to like start flying, and like no, it's not what happened.
Yeah. No, man, that's it. That would have been good. This is why you're not writing that. This is why you're doing this show and not a writer for Lucasfilm. I love it. I love where your head's going there. Okay, let's see what else. Last thing. Okay, last thing before we get out of here. Let's talk about this because this is interesting. So this is Marvel's Darth Maul, black, white, and red comic book. This is coming April 2024. And over on StarWars.com, they kind of snuck this one on us. You and I did the what's coming in 2024, right? This wasn't on our radar. And we even said at the very end of that show, there are probably other things that they're going to announce at some point. This is one of them. There's probably more to come. But this is an interesting series. So this is going to be a number of comic books. The first issue arrives on April 25th. And this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. They're going to have a different writer and a different artist for each one of the comic books. So it won't be the same same people there. And issue number 1 is written by Benjamin Percy. As you can kind of see I think this is it's not numbered here, but I believe this is the first cover, which is by Alex Maleev, which is one of my favorite artists. But the concept is interesting. So yeah, there's some good stuff here. And then I think they've got some other covers that they're showing as well. But the whole thing revolves around this final occultation. I don't know is somebody saying that right? I don't know. Occultation, whatever. That is sure. This is going to be essentially, there are dark side users that are like really all about chaos, and Palpatine wants to put an end to them. So what does he do? He gets Darth Maul as assassin, and he sends his assassin out to kill them all, which, if you're thinking about it, it almost seems counterintuitive that somebody would, maybe not. No, I shouldn't even say that. It's really not counterintuitive. The Sith are always trying to kill each other, but the reason, what makes this very different and certainly in character and on brand for Palpatine is, as crazy as that guy is, he does believe in order, right? He believes in order. He believes in structure. He doesn't want pure chaos and anarchy. And so if there are dark side users out there that that he'd have to contend with or that could muck up his plans, he's going to eliminate them, right? And so who better to do that than somebody like Darth Maul? So very cool concept. Only 4 issues. We're definitely going to cover this on the show. If not, I know Lauren's excited to cover this on Jedi Novel Archive. But I don't know. Let me get your just kind of thoughts when you hear this story, and certainly about some of the artwork that we're seeing here.
Well, the first thing I thought, then I saw you wrote the same note as what I was thinking is, what story is there left to tell? Yeah. Like, have we not exhausted Darth Maul? Like, I don't know what else you can do with him. I mean, I guess they were expecting him to be back after the Solo movie, but that never happened. Yeah. But we did get his ending in Rebels. So like, and clearly this is years and years before that. This is, probably before episode 1 here. So yeah, I don't know what story, like, are we just getting like, childhood Darth Maul? I don't know if I want to see him in like a Pee-wee Little League with his like 2-sided bat. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what, like you said, I don't know what stories are to tell, but this, the fact that they are keeping it to a 4-issue miniseries, it's like, okay, they had an idea and they're just going to keep it contained. It's not going to be just like this ongoing series and we'll tell it forever. We had this idea. We're just going to do it and hopefully you like it.
Yeah. And part of this is because we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace this year. Right. So, like if they're sitting in, I'm thinking they're in this room, kind of just brainstorming, and they want to tell a story about Darth Maul to kind of ride that 25th anniversary. This seems like, at least conceptually, this seems like a pretty safe story to tell. They don't have to worry about it kind of interfering with anything they're not going to step on anything that's already been established. And because it's all hush hush, it's an assassination of sorts, right? Then they can write that off as like, all this happened, but you didn't see it because this guy was so good, or Palpatine was so good. So it does feel very self-contained, and yet there are some great possibilities here. Like, if there are dark side users out there, the questions that come to mind are they using lightsabers, right? Are they using force lightning? How does Darth Maul contend that? What kind of training did he take with all that stuff? It's just it is compelling, and it's intriguing enough that I think this is, if they get the writing well, I think this is going to be a great series to tap into and to cover it for us. So I'm looking forward to it for a lot of different reasons. So, there was one more cover too. I don't think there it is. That's the another cover.
Good one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if these are alternate covers or they're different ones. But anyways, if you head out to StarWars.com, you can read the full article here. There's more there where they're talking to Benjamin Percy on it. And as of this show, they've not announced the writers or the artists for the other 3 issues. So more to come on that as well. So, All right, man. I think that's it. I think that's all we had. I mean, there was a lot that happened, of course, over the last 3 weeks since we've done a show, but I really try to just stick to some of the big boulders, and we'll have more news here coming up. I think we're not going to be doing Waystation next week, Super Bowl Sunday, but the following week after that, I think Ed and I are going to try to come back here and get another show in. So
it's Galactic Holiday next week.
Galactic Holiday, yeah. Again, thank you to everybody that came out for this show, and especially all those that were on for the live stream. So let me just name some names here. Double X, Reader Reborn, Music Train, My Star Wars Guy, Alex. Thanks, Alex. Kathy Jones, Stephanie was here, Sky, Dante. Hey, man, thanks for making it in. Obviously, Subdued, and Skywalker's Academy. Don't forget, if you're a Patreon member, stick around, because after this, Jonesy and I will be breaking down the Bad Batch trailer, which would be a lot of fun, and we'll speculate as you know, as much as we can and as recklessly as we can on what's going to happen this season coming up. So, all right, Ed, any final words, thoughts of wisdom before I get here? I'm stalling so I can hit the button.
Yeah, Carl Weathers, man, rest in peace, rest in power, and you're great to have in our lives for all these years, and thank you for everything you contributed to not just Star Wars, to everything, all the fandom and all our entertainment for all our lives.
Yeah, well said, man. All right, guys, we'll see you guys soon.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.